I thought it'd be so interesting if I got to listen to my favorite Hispanic political commentator talk about things that are really important to him. This video is primarily with Sydney Watson, and she gets to talk to our favorite Afro-Latino commentator. He's even taken the spot above Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II as my favorite Hispanic commentator. Great guy, cool guy, great guy, cool guy, sick guy, great guy, cool guy.
Do you want to get married?
Yeah, I want to get married. But more out of necessity of like producing a male heir is really the whole point.
So off to a really great start already. Do you want kids? Yes, I want kids. Specifically for my male heir, big baby to carry on my name, my legacy. That's what I need.
I love your face.
No, I'm just listening. I'm just observing.
He's cackling.
I can keep going. Continue.
She's like, we can keep going. No.
You're laughing. He doesn't care about women and you're laughing. You think this is funny? Oh, here we go.
Because I mean, I would prefer to get a handle on what you think from your mouth.
That's very Chinese of him, though. You know, just only men. So he doesn't want any female children. It's very Chinese.
Yeah, no, I think they're definitely, they're awake on this question. You know, I mean, as far as like marriage goes.
Well, it's more about population control there rather than, you know, getting rid of women.
It's like the old world stuff about like a dowry and like, you know, gendered stuff and all that. But, you know, at least
I don't know what to see watching these videos. I don't know what to do because I can't pause every 7 seconds to be like, what the fuck once again, because these people are just kind of insane and they're all going to be like this. I don't know what am I gonna do? Very Chinese. It's very Chinese of you. It's been like 1 minute. Actually, it's been 43 seconds.
At least for me, it's sort of like a pride thing. Like I want to produce a male heir to take on my name, take on my legacy and all that. And, you know, marriage is sort of pursuant to that goal. But, you know, I don't know about this whole prospect of like living with a woman for the rest of my life. Like, you know, it sounds good at first. It sounds like kind of fun or interesting. You don't have to do laundry. You know, you don't have to worry about kind of taking care of the house. But, you know, then the prospect of just like it goes on and on and on. And it's decade after decade after decade. And, you know, I don't know how thrilled I am with that whole idea.
Are you gay? And I mean this in the most serious way possible. You know, I just women and whatever, but I can't imagine spending time with women for the rest of my life. Bro, are you okay? Guys, it's okay. He's gay. That's true. He doesn't want to spend time with women. He wants his cat boy. He needs his cat boy, and no one's going to take that from him.
I'm kind of a solitary individual. I like my privacy. I like my autonomy and just the idea of like nagging GF, nagging wife. It's a little nightmarish to me.
Do you have a good relationship with your mom?
I love my...
No, Sydney, don't do it. Don't hit him with the mommy issues. It's so early. No, she's like listening to him talk and she's like, this bitch definitely got mommy issues. That's what's going on here. Damn is right. Like instantly with the, you know, spending time with women for a really long time. Can you even imagine? No, I can't. Oh my goodness, bro. Don't even get me started. I think I'm gonna vomit. So how's your relationship with your mom? Here's the thing is because I watched like the first like 5 minutes of this and I gotta tell you, there's just something about it. You know what I mean? I want to say this and I mean this in the most curious way possible. We'll talk about this. He's kind of funny, you know, in the sense that when I listen to this, it sounds like when I'm listening to this, it sounds like a conversation that I would have with like another lefty on stream. But the thing is that everything that we would be saying, it would be funny because it's ironic. But the difference with that and this is that it's not ironic. It's not a joke to him. He's saying everything that we would say as like hyperbole and as a joke, but he actually believes it. It's like the irony part. It's like keck wait, you know? You're laughing and then you're like, wait, you actually believe that shit? I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, nagging wife, a little nightmarish to me.
Do you have a good relationship with your mom?
I love my mom. Yeah,
funny.
I love my mom.
Mm-hmm. Is your mom a stay-at-home mom? What does she do?
Yeah, so she works now, but you know, when me and my sister were growing up, she raised me. She quit her job to stay at home and raise us.
And what's your sister like? Do you get on with her?
Yeah, she's my twin. She's probably the opposite of me. She's more calm, sort of introverted. Yeah, but we get along.
Do you
she's
respect
normal.
women?
Of course.
But you just don't want them to have any rights.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say they shouldn't have rights.
But If I'm understanding your question correctly, if you don't want them to vote or drive or have an existence akin to what they would have in, say, Saudi Arabia, you would say that in large part, then they don't really have rights.
Well, I would say probably the ideal is something more like Afghanistan, if I'm being totally honest. Like recent,
so what's the difference between Afghanistan then and Saudi Arabia?
Like the brutality, I guess. It's like a little.
Hey, listen, women should be property, but you shouldn't be so mean to them. They're a little brutal over there. A little brutal for my liking, personally. What's happening? What's happening? He's so weird. He's such a freak of nature, bro. Yeah, his like awkward smile through all of this, it's making it even worse. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Not at all, actually. Not one bit. He's so fucking strange. I'm getting sociopath vibes. I'm definitely getting like not in a good mental state vibes from this man. I will tell you that much. I will tell you that much. That's actually really good. Yeah, I will say that. He do be worrying me. I'm telling you guys that they were like remember when the Taliban took over Afghanistan and a bunch of conservatives were like, sure, like terrorists taking over that entire country is bad, but they definitely don't have CRT. Like this is the logical endpoint of that. Remember when we talked about Taliban Tuck and everything? This is the logical endpoint to this, where they're just straight up like, yeah, we do want women to have, like, my bad, I don't want to put words in their mouth, no rights. They should have some rights, just not very many.
Slightly more brutal. Of course, Taliban rule, not American rule. I'm talking about, recent Afghanistan.
So you want women to have the same
actual Taliban
as women have under Taliban rule in Afghanistan?
Something approximating that, okay. Yeah, because, you think about the Taliban and, what they're able to achieve. Here you have these guys with nothing but, some light arms and rags and 20 years, and they were able to defeat the largest military in history. I think that has something to do with the fact that they weren't like distracted. They weren't distracted with the kinds of things we are in America. They weren't being nagged. They weren't being bossed around by women. And, now they've got this society where there's this brutality, like I said, this old world sort of order. And you bring up like voting. I don't see really voting as a right, if I'm being totally honest. Like, it's not just women. There's a lot of people that really shouldn't be voting anymore.
Such as?
Maybe people that don't own property, okay. Young people that work like retail jobs. Like, as an example, really? Hear me out.
What the fuck is... He's so stupid. Voting isn't... Yeah, I don't really think of it as a right. It's more like a privilege. You really shouldn't... We shouldn't be so lax. We shouldn't be so liberal with the whole voting thing. I have to tell you, people who work retail jobs? I've never even heard that before. Retail jobs. Man, why you hate retail people so dang hard? What's your problem? Why are you racist against retail people? They're working hard, okay? Leave them alone.
People that work retail jobs.
Well, I think we can all get on board with that national movement. It's like, with the service that you're getting, it's like, man, you couldn't even get my change right. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick the correct president of the United States.
I was in Lowe's earlier, and a young man helped me who's actually a fan of both of us, who was super lovely.
You know what's just so weird is that they're joking, they're memeing, they're memeing a little bit, but Nick is 100% serious in this, like 100% serious, and he's had this like shit-eating, like weird, nervous grin on his face the entire time. And look at fucking Sydney's face. Look at her face. Look at her face, bro. She is disturbed.
And I would like him to vote. He was great. He was very clever.
Well, the thing about retail or these service jobs is like, you look at these young people, it's a lot of millennials, Generation Z, and they really don't know how things work. You know what I mean? Like if you own a business.
Yeah, everything is right. Everyone is right wing here. Yes.
If you own property, even if you're a homeowner, you kind of have an idea of like how things work, like where things come from and some idea of like how the economy works. And, if your whole life is like, okay, you're in school, you're a student, you pay rent, you know what I mean? Like you don't even manage like how your apartment runs. Like how should you have a say in how the country is run? You don't even really know how anything comes together in society. So, the old way in America was that it was, of course, propertied white men. It was a very narrow group of people that were able to vote. And that's because the founding fathers didn't really believe in mass democracy, universal suffrage. They believed in checks and balances, and kind of voting was a part of like checking the power of the ruling class or the regime with the power of the people. But they weren't under any illusions about this idea that like every person should have a vote. One man, one woman, one child, one vote. They didn't believe that. So, that's not how the country was founded. That's not how the system was set up. And that was for a reason. So I think it was a big mistake in the past 100 years to just...
Apparently, this country was not meant for all people, which was kind of true. But hey, listen, if it wasn't, then they shouldn't have into the Constitution the way that they did. They should have changed it up a little bit. But apparently they didn't, because the way that they read the Constitution, listen, they made it so, they made it show that everyone deserved these unalienable rights. And if you didn't like that, then sounds a little bit more like a personal problem than anything else. Sound like someone else's problem, definitely not mine. I think it was a mistake to move away from what the founding fathers wanted. Yes. If that's the case, what about like no electricity or shit and shit like that? No electricity, okay? I'm tired of it. The founding fathers did not build this country with electricity in mind. No running water, no toilets. Fuck you. No sewer system. That's real sewer socialism. Yeah, that's true. No teeth. Dying of tuberculosis to own the libs. I'm ready for it.
We have to think competent people should be making those choices.
If I were to ask you, let's start with rights.
I have to tell you, listening to Nick Fuentes, he does not sound like the most competent person to me. I have to say, I've definitely seen more competent people in my day, and they do not come to Fuentes. I do have to tell you that.
Let's start with access to something very simple. Let's go to an amendment. Go to 19th Amendment, right? Let's start there. Let's just start there.
All
right.
Day
What do you thought? All right, day one gone.
It shouldn't be there.
I have a question though. Have you ever lived in any other country besides the United States?
Nope.
Okay, so when you talk about many of these things, these are just from an observational standpoint where you've done a lot of reading and observed a bunch of things.
Yes.
And then arrived at your conclusions based on that.
Yes.
But you have no practical experience living under, say, a more authoritarian rule.
No. Well, I already live under something like authoritarianism in America. I'm on the no-fly list. I'm being persecuted. The thing is about it.
Bud. Hey, listen, we're just giving him a taste of what he wants, We're just giving a taste of what the society that he wants. It's really curious that once he starts to get a taste of the society that he wants for other people, he starts to be like, whoa, wait a second now. Wait a second. This is a little strange. I'm not sure if we should keep this up. What are you, fucking bitch? Just live with it. I live under authoritarianism in America. Bro, you're a freak. You're like closing in on being an actual terrorist. But okay, bud, sure, I guess. Hasn't he been banned from like every bank? Yeah, because he uses all of his banking for like borderline terrorism. So, it's definitely not a good meme.
Authoritarianism is, it can't be condemned in itself, because the character of the regime isn't really authority. The authority is colored by the people that are in authority.
Not to interrupt you, sorry, but just to back up for a second. So you're currently on a no-fly list based on the authoritarianism that's going on in the country.
Right.
Now that authoritarianism, you could argue, is from the left, and the left are very happy that they have that authoritarianism. So what you want is right-wing authoritarianism.
Yes.
But your issue is with left-wing authoritarianism.
The problem is not authoritarianism. The problem is leftism.
What about the people on the left who think of you and go, well, I don't want to live under his rule of law? Because obviously there are people who don't think like you do.
This is the essence of politics. This is the essence of politics, is that there is an us and there is a them. There are right-wing people and there are left-wing people, and people have varying identities with different levels of salience. But yes, the problem is that we are not in control of the regime. Ultimately, the problem is not the regime itself or power, because the thing is, and this is the problem, is that conservatives are sort of naive about power. And then the left comes in with a vengeance and they say, we're going to use environmental regulations to take your gun rights. And we're going to use the IRS to go after, conservative nonprofits. And we're going to do this. And we're going to solidify our rule.
We're going to use the IRS to go after conservative nonprofits. You mean just like audit them? But if there's nothing to hide, you shouldn't be too scared of an audit now, should you? It's really curious. What are you guys doing with your money so much? Like, that's what the IRS does. What are you doing with your money so that scares you so much about the IRS coming to say, hey, knocking on your door? I just think it's a little curious. A little curious. Actually, we're not the authoritarian ones. Have you seen how the IRS works? All right, buddy.
We should have built a wall. We should have went after the endowments for the universities. We should have targeted left-wing institutions. We should have opened up the libel laws and went after the media. So, conservatives just aren't playing the game. We've got to wake up to the reality of power politics, engage and play. If Trump became like, the Caesar of America, hypothetically, if he had got in 16 and said, you know what, I'm not leaving, and the courts tell me that I have to leave, well, I'll disobey them, and he went full, Andrew Jackson, I would support it. This is the right man for the job. This is a rightful ruler of America.
Just so you know, this sounds sounds crazy, right? But just so you know, this is the end goal of like most conservatives. This is the end goal. All right, this is what they want at the end of the day. This is the society that they want to live in. Yeah, saying the quiet part out loud. This is exactly what they want. This is why we say when they like play with words about like, oh, once we have it, we're definitely going to be we're going to be like so much better. We're going to make sure the government stays away from you. The conservatives have never gotten the government and gotten it out of people's lives. It's just more in their lives. They want the government to be small enough, typically even to like fit in your bathroom. Don't you sit here and talk to me about they want the government out of your lives. They absolutely don't. They never have. And I'm not saying this is like literally every conservative, but for a lot of conservative talking points, this is just what they believe at the end of the day. And it's scary to hear, but at least we hear it from someone here to tell the truth, at the very least, right?
The empire ended pretty poorly, I think.
Yeah, after like, hundreds of years.
Well, we've been around for about 400. How many we got left?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's just it. The Roman Republic was around, and then it gave birth to a true empire ruled by a Caesar, and then they reached their zenith under the empire. So I don't.
He's so LARPy. Yes, Donald Trump must become the Tsar of America, and then we will throw away the entire Constitution, and we will usher in the great Taliban, Al-Qaeda Taliban rule over America. It's so stupid. Listen, I hate this. Why do we lefties get called goofy? This is what we're working with on the right. Why are we called goofy? What's happening here? This isn't fair. Look at this guy. He's insane. He's the type of person to take. Yes, he plays as the Imperium of Man in 40K, and he doesn't think of 40K as like a fun game. He thinks of 40K as a blueprint for the future.
I mean, I'll give you an example. A very good friend of mine who I've known for about 10 years used to be very much like you, actually. And he's someone who used to really, really prop up authoritarianism. He used to, and he still believes this in part, that people do need to be governed to a large extent because people, left alone are morons. And however, he moved to Singapore, which you could argue is not the worst place in the world. Obviously, it's quite clean. People, follow the law. The crime rate is reasonably low. But after about 2 years of living in Singapore, where they knock on your door, and this has happened to him, where he got dobbed in by his neighbors for having water on his balcony, and they said it's causing a mosquito problem. Now we're at your house, prepared to fine you over mosquitoes. He said to me, I hate living in this country. I hate the authoritarianism here. I hate the way that things operate, because coming from Australia, he's an Aussie. He was like, I much prefer the way that we do things back home, or at least, the freedom that we have. In living in a country where that's staunched in some capacity was really, and is and continues to be, very bothersome and trying for him.
I love it, because at the end of the day, what she's just saying is, once you live like a normal person and you actually have experiences, and you're not just some dipshit who talks about shit on the internet, about how much you want the world to be controlled under your thumb. Like, once you live under other people who feel that exact same way, you start to think, maybe this isn't actually a good thing. This is actually like really good. Maybe this, I'm starting to think this actually isn't that great. It's curious how that works, huh? Also, this is where you see the massive divide between the leave me alone sort of like libertarian conservatives and the Nick Fuentes of the type. That we are literally seeing libertarian right and conservative right bashing each other over the head. And I gotta say, I love the blood sports.
You can only do so much reading before practical experience actually should take, some sort of precedence. And I mean, I say the same thing about women too. You also promote like the way of interacting with women. And I go, have you been in a relationship with a woman?
No.
So how are you telling other people how to behave towards women when you yourself have not had any actual physical, interaction with them in a romantic capacity, or in fact, in any capacity where you uphold them in a way that treats them with respect? I mean, if you're out here arguing that women are basically half the value of, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, in fact, because that's not right. But if you are looking to some other regimes around the world that do think that women are half the value of a man, I have to question what kind of a person who's had no experience with women is in a position to basically promote these ideas.
Well, I'm having
he is like, you see that? Look at him like shrivel up into his collar. That shit is so fucking funny. Wait. 1 second. Beta. Yeah, I know all of this stuff about women. I want all of these things to happen in regards to women. Oh, have you ever spent like 3 seconds around a woman in a romantic sense? Sure. And I've seen like other people talk about this before, but after we covered this yesterday, I saw some other people talk about this issue, and I gotta say, it's all cope. it's all of the conservatives and like Nazis and shit who feel this way. It's all cope. They're all coping, and it's cringe because I'm sorry, bro. Not every relationship with a woman is sex, because they're trying to bring up like, he's Roman Catholic. He's Catholic. He wouldn't have sex with her. Bro, that has nothing to do with holding a girl's hand or like being likable enough for a woman to spend any amount of time with you without her being forced to be on a leash while you drag her around until you like go back home and lock her in your basement. Okay, I'm sorry, there's more to relationships with women than just that. I'm sorry to break it to a couple of you guys, there's more to a relationship with women than just having sex with them. I do have to tell you that. He's getting cucked live. He is being cucked.
Women is in a position to basically promote these ideas.
Well, I'm having an experience with a woman right now. And I've had lots of experiences with women in my life, not romantically per se, but I've talked to enough women. I've known enough women to know sort of what's going on. And I think any man who is observant enough, and honestly, like I said, we could go back to great geniuses. We could go back to people that have been in relationships. Like a perfect example is like the pickup artists. Have you ever noticed that pickup artists who have the most relationships with women and the most sex, really with women, it's the same bag of tricks to seduce a woman.
What a fucking loser. I'm sorry. I can't get over how lame this is. Is it just me? Am I racist? I can't get over how lame this is. You know what I mean? I'm dying of cringe right now. I'm on life support. I'm on my last legs. Bro, so a woman has never looked at me in a romantic way and has ever wanted to spend time with me in any regard about this. But I do have to tell you, I've watched a lot of pickup videos, okay? I've watched Mommy Makeout Day. I've watched the old kissing prank videos, all right? And I gotta tell you, and this is really, it gives me basically I basically read Theory on Women, okay? I've watched Theory before, all right? Listen, I know what's going on with the females. It's the same sort of bag of tricks to get them in bed with you, call them pretty, slap their ass, say that they look very portable, ask them if this rag smells like chloroform, just typical, normal things that any guy can do. And I gotta say, bro, I don't know how you can sit here and say it's so easy to pick up girls when you've never done it ever. When like us guys exist, like it is very easy to get a guy to do anything with you. All right, I'm sorry, that's just true. It is very easy. It's very easy. All right, we be some sluts sometime. I just find it super curious how no, the tie. I just find it super curious how he's going to say like getting girls is an easy bag of tricks. Apparently men are super complicated and you need like a fucking dodecahedron of tricks to ever amount to getting a guy to have sex with you or something. Shut the fuck up, bro. You've never done anything along these lines. Shut the hell up. The femoid question. Yes, he's looking for a final solution to the femoid question. Can confirm men are sluts. I know I'm a slut, okay? I be a slut. This happens.
Or whatever. And I think that kind of tells you something about the nature of women, that, you go from woman to woman and it's the same kind of like little tricks, little things you could say or whatever to kind
like
of
what?
hack them and whatever. And I think that kind of says.
Did he say hack women? Bro, what? Yes, I type in this super secret formula and I'm able to hot wire and hijack the woman's brain. She short circuits into sucking my dick. Bro, if it was so easy, I don't know why you've never had a girlfriend. Never. I just think that actually, it's very easy to get women. Anybody who knows the cheat codes can easily get a girl to have sex with them. I would know. Have I ever done it? No. But listen, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos.
Says it all about their nature. So
what does it say about our nature, Nick?
Well, it says that they're not fully rational. I don't believe that, like men, they possess a sort of full rationality. I think that
rationality towards what specifically?
Well, rationality just entirely, generally? Sort of objective. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they're capable of that. I think that, a male has a real impersonal sense of rationality and reason. I think that a female sense is far more personal. And that derives from the fact that women are made to bear children. Women are made.
What's happening right now? Just so you know, he has no research to back up any of this. This is literally him just talking out of his ass on this one, which is cute, but it doesn't make it any less stupid. He's quoting porn adverts. Oh my, is he really quoting like porn advertisements? Really? Wait, hacking women is from porn ads in the early 2000s. He's such a loser. No, he's so terminally online. No way, bro. No way. Talk to a woman, please. I beg of you. please have an interpersonal relationship with a woman for one point in time. Please, I beg of you. It's really not that hard. I have so many women in my in my friend groups. All right, so many. They're just people. I promise you. Women have rationality. All right. If you here's this one thing. Okay, with a bunch of I've never had this question answered by anyone who thinks like this, but if that's the case with women and they're like so irrational, why is it only guys? Why do men have such a high rate of like homicide and stuff? Why are we always killing people that we don't like? Has anyone ever thought about that? Has anyone ever have they put any thought towards that like at all? Turkey? Yeah, man, I wonder why like guys are always making these like split-second irrational decisions of like murdering people, assaulting people, stuff like that, if women are supposed to be the super irrational ones. Oh, just curious how that works.
With their wombs to bear children. And so I think their whole consciousness is basically, it's wrapped up, it's bound up in this idea that they've got to carry a child and then raise a child. And I think that the impersonality, rationality, objectivity suffers from this.
Now, I've never had any real interactions with women in my entire life, but I'm just thinking of it off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure their entire existence revolves around having babies, and they think 24/7 about having babies and how they need to carry around baby. And basically, this tells me a lot about the women work. I mean, come on. We all know what's going on here. Have any interactions with women? No. But let me tell you all about them.
The way that we live in America is unacceptable. I mean, there's homeless people everywhere. The crime's out of control. It's a corrupt country. It's a failing country. And, we want to have competent
leadership.
Around
the world that have right-wing leadership still have many of those issues. And in fact, they're exacerbated oftentimes by the governments that are in power.
Oh, no. Oh, no. She's chewing through his talking points. Oh, look at his face. Oh, he's like this fucking bitch. He's like fucking women and they're irrational. I can't believe this woman dares to think around me. You're asking him the real questions. See, ask him where the clitoris is. Listen, that's I think that would be a much longer video than the hour that we have here on our hands. All right, I think him trying to find the clit would be a much longer endeavor than watching this video. I do have to tell you. Listen, man. I think what's his answer? I'm gonna think his answer is going to be, well, as you see, you say that they have the same problems, but I posit to you the reason they have those problems is because they're not Nazis like me. Okay.
So, and I would say too, I mean, I think it's a bit of a straw man to say that what I'm arguing here. I'm not even arguing. I'm just posing questions really because I'm interested to hear your viewpoints. However, I'm not saying, I mean, I agree with you in the sense that we should have, right-wing leadership. I'd prefer to live under a right-wing government, so to speak. But, I'm not suggesting that I would rather a left-wing government over a right-wing one. I'm simply saying, having never lived under the autocratic rule that you seem to be promoting in some capacity, I'm having a hard time understanding how you can say that this would be the best way to go about doing things when you actually have no practical experience. That's all it is.
Where do we see, I'm wondering right now, where do we see Christ-based, like, theocratic? Isn't that more of what you're for, is like more like a theocracy?
Christ-based theocratic. Man, it's really curious how a nation like that hasn't existed since the 1700s. It's curious how all those ones died out. Weird how that happened.
See, no, you're talking about theocracy.
No, but not necessarily just theocracy, but I'm just saying, like, in some way with authority.
Like
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You mean like divine king?
But I'm saying that's Muslim. Yeah, but like a Christian version of.
Has anybody ever thought about the Taliban but Catholic? You ever heard what the Spanish Catholic Church has done? You should look into them. Very curious folks. Not Christian, just Christ-based. Ah, yes. Yeah, the Inquisition. But that was like cool though. That was pog, as many people have said. Why are there 17 deer, bro?
I should say, yeah, maybe a Christian version of Iran, but not the exact government system. I'm just saying, like, where do we actually see that? Because I could just be sounding like an idiot here, but I don't know if we have any of that sanctified or left in its own original state of like a Christian autocratic type of rule.
It's probably been, 100 years since we've had any kind of meaningful Christian autocratic rule anywhere in the world. And, all you have to look at is the experience of history. This experiment of overthrowing the kings and overthrowing the gods, it's been a complete disaster. I mean, think about how Europe and America used to be 100 years ago. I mean, it's no contest compared to the kind of scum and degeneracy and the awful things that we see today. And all that we want is a restoration of that. And I'm I'm a real conservative in the sense that I don't believe that we're going to get to heaven on this side of death, right? So I don't know that we're going to get to a...
What?
It's not, I don't know. We're not going to have a perfect society, but it's a question of what kind of a society are we going to live in? What kinds of problems do we want? Do we want to have the excesses, perhaps, of a Christian autocratic rule and sometimes the cruelty or things that come with that? Or do we want to live in the environment we live in now, where mankind is killing itself? You know, people are not having children, and it's sickness and depravity, and children are being harmed and corrupted. I mean, I don't think it gets very much worse than where we are today.
Yes, when people are experiencing some of the best prosperity the world has ever known, you got to think we're kind of suffering, bud. Like, and here's the thing, like, and I 100% agree. Like, we're facing a lot of problems. We are not worse off. 1 million. We are not worse off than we were before. This is just untrue. You were just stupid. We're absolutely not, okay? The world that people lived in the past is just not good. I don't want to go back into the past, all right? And the thing is, Nick said himself, he wouldn't want to go back into the past if he was the one who was going to be like crucified, okay? If he was him, he'd be like, wait, maybe we should think about this a little bit. He's just it's the same thing with everyone. All of these are just like little losers who just want to be the ones controlling the powers of the authoritarianism at play. And that's kind of it. He said it himself. That's just what he wants. I want to make sure that the world is as bad as possible, but for everyone else and not me. Like, Nick and people like him literally wake up and go, I wonder how the world can get worse. And that's just like the way he spends his time, which I can't get behind. But hey, I mean, at least he has something to wake him up in the morning.
Fuck us over. Let's call it what it is. And again, when I say punish their political enemies, I want to be direct and I want to be clear here. I see them as the direct enemy here, considering all the subcultures that I'm involved in, and they're controlled by leftists, and they've been running the bitch into the ground for as long as I've been alive. It's just been accelerated over certainly the last decade.
I love how now he's just arguing for Nick's point, but being like, man, I hate it when they do all these authoritarianism things. It really sucks. And Nick's just like, yes, but let's just do it to them. I want to know how they bridge this gap. Do they bridge the gap, or is it just like retains, or does it just continue like this for the rest of the conversation?
Sydney doesn't know anything about you, really. I mean, besides what she's heard on there. And she's like...
And I do want to say, like, I've said, I do know many of your views on women, which I find abhorrent. I'm going to be honest. I don't agree with you in any capacity on that front, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, figures.
But I actually went into this...
Figures. Of course women wouldn't want to live under Taliban rule. Figures. What the fuck are you saying? Dude, does he think that... I was going to mention this earlier, but I think I'll mention it now. You know what's so interesting about all of this is the fact that they're bleeding women from a lot of their movements because for like one reason, because they're so misogynistic. Like, it's really hard for women to co-sign your political movement if they're co-signing themselves to being literal property. Hey, we need you guys to help us make you literal property. And it's for curious reasons. Figures. They don't want to be property. Yikes. Ew. Who could have seen this coming? Not me. What the fuck are you talking about, dumbass? See, that's the whole reason why Lauren Southern stopped being a part of their movement. That's why Lauren Southern isn't Queen Nazi anymore. It's not because of some like big like political movement or something. She's not Queen Nazi right now because they're mean to women, and that made her very sad. She found a nice Asian man to marry, and now they think that she's a race traitor. This is simply self-preservation. They were all on the right. They're all on board all the way up until it's time for them to be property, and now they want to hop off and be like, whoa, wait a second. This is going a little too far. They were pretty base for a little bit until they realize that being base has something to do with being property, and that's when they start to be like, I don't know about that.
But I was saying to Elijah, it's interesting. I think you're being very respectful, and I think that's really nice because people make you.
What the fuck's happening? Man, the writer's so fucking dumb. Now, I know you want to put me in a cage and keep me as a baby farm in some man's basement, but I do have to say the way you go about it is really respectful, because people make you out to be this terrible guy, and I have to say, you haven't called me a slur once yet. Thank you for not calling my friend a slur the other day. I knew it took a lot of restraint.
You out to be this, assassin that's going to just stab everybody in the face. And I
think
you are being very respectful.
He's not an assassin who's going to stab you in the face. He's a guy who's walking up to you, says he's going to stab you in the face, and then stabs you in the face. Like, He's not being sneaky about it. He's telling you exactly what he wants to do. You roll, peacock. We love our cock. We love our cock here, boys, don't we?
You're obviously very polite in person, but dude, your followers are very interesting people.
Yes.
And I find it interesting how you appear certainly one way in person, and I would say you're nice in person, and
Thank
then
you.
in the chat I don't understand. Are you aware that your followers are like this?
Well,
See, here's the thing, all right? Here's the thing. That's who they really are. This is what I don't know if Sydney Watson is stupid. I took her as someone that I disagree with politically, but I'm not sure if she's stupid. But what you see in chat is who they really are. This is who Fuentes and his fans really are. They're not nice. They're not good people. They're terrible people. They're the dregs of society, and that's why they act like this. They've never been good people. I'm sorry, this is so weird to me. Just being calm while giving like the worst, most dog shit talking points you've ever heard in your entire life does not make you a good person or someone worthy of respect. Yeah, the J-regs of society. It's so strange to me how you can say literally anything to these people, but as long as you do it in a nice-ish way, they're going to think like everything's all right. Everything that Sydney Watson is looking at right now is a facade. And the worst part about it is he's taken off the mask several times in front of her, and she still doesn't see it. I don't know what's wrong with these people.
The thing about our people, me and my followers, is that we are really oppressed in a big way. And so...
Wait. Oh, this is so good. As you can see, my people really act like this. You can't really put it on them. They're my people are oppressed. My people. my people are oppressed, okay? Leave them alone. What the fuck are you saying? They're victims, okay? Is he going to say like the way that they act online is a trauma response? Listen, it's a trauma response, all right? They're traumatized by the endless pain that they go through on a day-to-day basis. They're suffering daily, day in and day out. They're suffering, okay? You don't understand.
When you take a look at my followers, or groypers, or somebody like myself, I mean, we really have been treated unfairly by society. And, some people say, hey, your followers aren't very polite, or, they're very rowdy, or something like that.
I think it's more than that, Nick, though. I think that they, like, for example, they attack
They're
Elijah
evil.
personally. They attack me personally. I don't
There's
think...
a phrase for it being called groiped, right? Am I
That's
right?
right.
I don't think that...
Got groyped.
I mean, you can...
Dude, oh yeah, I remember that. Do you guys remember that the last time we talked about Fuentes on stream, where he was just walking around after they got kicked out of like CPAC? He was just walking around and he found someone. He's like, hey, you're stinky, you stink, you're a loser, you're stinky, haha. And they all surrounded him and they're like, you got groiped. Woo, get groiped. You fucking Jew. Get groiped. It was so weird.
I think the word you're looking for is pieces of shit.
Well, I mean, it's just like, I don't get it. Like, and if you do think you're oppressed, which is
but
fine,
that's what I'm getting at, is that's why there's sort of a defensive posture, is because,
Sure.
if you look at my experience and the experience of people
No, he's
that I
doing
know,
it.
it's...
No, he's actually saying that the way that they act online is a trauma response after being so marginalized for so long. Sydney, you don't understand. Nazis in this country have been marginalized for so long. Because of this, what you see online, it's a trauma response, okay? They're good people, but they've been put down for so long. They're so hurt. What a fucking loser, bro.
I'm going to tell you this. Did you read how he got rid of his Twitter's ADL
Yes,
expose?
I did actually. Yes, I did see that.
Can I just say this? So, like, I know you're
Let's go.
explaining this, so I really am not trying to get in the way. But what is so interesting is that if you read the ADL thing and you laugh at this too, like, I started to think about this of why Nick Fuentes is evil, right? So, like, because I know that this is what everybody does. And the first time I had to interview him, I got this whole email with all this shit I had to add before I introduced him. But it's like everybody's always like, oh, Nick's evil, and like the only reason why people think he's evil and like go on that is because the gatekeepers that hate him, people are afraid of pissing them off. Because when you really look into Nick's like life, people are like, but he's an anti-Semite. And so first of all, but
that's
people
true.
say this, right? And it's like, well, why? And it's like
he wouldn't even wait. I don't think he even disagreed that he's anti-Semitic. I'm pretty sure he openly hates Jewish people. People always frame Nick as being anti-Semitic. Like, what are you talking about? He frames himself that way. What do you mean?
Made this joke about cookies and the Jews, and I go, okay, I don't know about you, but I'm not a bitch enough to actually care about that. Like, I literally the humor thing, like it's like people always say, well, I wouldn't say that. I haven't said that.
What this is, but I don't know.
No.
But YouTube already hates us.
Yes, but I'm saying no. But I'm saying like,
show me afterwards.
It's like,
and then
okay,
I can
so
understand,
if you
I don't know what that is.
No, but if you wouldn't say it, then just don't say it. But did you really think someone's evil because they made a joke? And then it's like, well, yeah, but you're not.
See, as you see, I usually think anti-Semitism is very funny. And I really don't like to get on people's cases for their anti-Semitism.
And it's so funny because when I read the ADL defamation article about him, it was like 90% of the things that they said about him that were evil were just like normal mainstream conservative. Like,
what? For one, that's untrue. And two, if they want it to be true, they can. But also, that's a massive self-report. As you see, all conservatives hate Jewish people. No, he's so incorrect. What's happening? Most of the things that he says about Nick Fuentes that makes him far right is just what normal. You know what? You're right. My bad. Never interrupt your enemy while they're making a mistake. Nick Fuentes is your normal conservative. Nick Fuentes is your average guy. I think they should start saying it more. What do you guys think? I think that more conservatives should start talking about how Nick Fuentes is just like your normal conservative. You know what I mean? He's just your average guy. I'm starting to believe it personally.
Like ideas, it was like he questions
invite him to
the
CPAC,
election,
have him talk.
and he believes in right-wing authoritarianism, and it was like he believes the right.
That's true. He literally told you earlier that he believes in right-wing authoritarianism. Do you believe in right-wing? What's happening?
It's the election, and he believes in
That's far
right-wing
right.
authoritarianism.
That's
and
far
it was
right.
Like he believes the right wing should be the only wing, and then it's like
that's far right. What are you talking about?
The only part that's like probably different than the average person is that he's made inappropriate jokes on camera versus people have probably made similar jokes off camera. This is the worst hit piece on this guy. Why everyone thinks Nick is the worst guy in the world is because of the way his followers act towards people, and they can't disconnect. No, but I'm saying like,
what's happening? I've never seen this much cope in my entire. I'm sorry, like this level of cope truly is. It's remarkable. I've never seen someone cope so hard in my entire life. I have to tell you, so much. I'm worrying for him, bro. He could get hurt with like huffing this much copium. It's not good for you. Wait, he didn't even bring up the fact that he wants like Christian Sharia law in the country. Is that what normal conservatives believe? I'd love to know. I think that'd be very interesting. I think many people would like to hear about this personally. That's what we call a tie.
They can't disconnect because they hear things about you that are exaggerated, but then they interact with like, you get Groit and they get these people. So they assume they connect it like Nick is just trying to like infiltrate and hurt my life. But
that's true.
When people meet you like she did, she's like, this is actually not who I thought I was about to meet. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, he's literally talking. He literally talked to Sydney Watson this entire time and told her about how much he wants to hurt her life.
And like the idea of my show was like, let's be provocative. Let's play devil's advocate. You know, when I say things about like, we should be more like the Taliban, you know, it's partly joking, but there's also partly truth. And that sort of.
All right. I love how this guy, I knew it. I knew this was going to happen. I already saw it. I already saw what was going to happen. I already saw it. This guy was going to go on a screed about how Nick Fuentes really isn't that bad and Nick Fuentes doesn't want to hurt you. And then Nick Fuentes would open up by literally saying how much he wants to hurt other people. When I say I want basically Taliban rule, it's kind of a meme, but it's actually true.
I don't want to say that my whole life, you know, of course, I'm self-righteous and I'm fighting for a cause, but a lot of it is just mischief. A lot of it's just fun. A lot of the things that I do and say,
oh my gosh,
I do without thinking sometimes because they're funny, because they're interesting. It's like, you know, what if we just run with this, like the Cookie Monster thing or whatever?
Well, but to your point, Elijah, go ahead.
So hold on a second there. And sorry to shush you.
Go ahead.
I get what you're saying, like making jokes and being funny, or at least trying to get trying to antagonize people. That's one thing. And there's plenty of people who do that. Like, you're not the first person to try it. And obviously you're quite successful at it. But I would say, I mean, don't you think to some extent that polarizing people doesn't reach, if you really want to get your point across and you really want to change people's minds and you really want to push this agenda that you have here to push. So do you think that perhaps to some extent polarizing people who otherwise might listen to you is maybe not the best course of action? Because obviously there are people who are going to love you regardless, right? There are people who automatically agree with you, who think you're fantastic, and a lot of them in our chat at the moment who really, really think you're wonderful. Then there's a bunch of people who might, warm to your ideas if you weren't saying like, yeah, let's do this this, that, and the other, things that they might find inaccessible. Like, I guess I'm just trying to understand.
Some people, I think it resonates very strongly and they like that. The biggest problem is the people who are righteous in this country, I think, are too timid. They don't have the boldness. They don't have the courage to alienate people. Particularly with conservatives, they want to be liked by everybody. Conservatives really care that liberals like.
That's so what world did this man live in? Man, I still wish I lived in the world that conservatives have in their head. Like, can you imagine how sick that would be if we lived in that world? That'd be like, what happened to people being like, they voted in Donald Trump because he was going to be gigapog and he was going to trigger the libs? Whatever happened to that? Remember that? Trump was the trigger the libs president. When have conservatives cared about like when liberals like them? When was that? I want to figure out where that was, because I've never seen it in my entire life. Bizarre world, definitely upside down. I wish conservatives were as cucked as this guy thinks.
They talk in such a way that they want liberals to like them, and they want women to like them. They want black people to like them. And I think a lot of this is because of the society that we live in, where you've got to sell products to a mass audience of people from different races and different genders, and we live in a mass democracy, and you've got to win all the votes. But me, as somebody that is strictly an entertainer and a truth teller, I'm really unconcerned with the sort of popularity of my personage or my views.
I wonder how this guy feels right now after being cucked so hard. You know what I mean? I really just want to know what's going through this guy's head after being cucked so hard, because he spent like a decent amount of time talking about how Nick actually does I see now what Nick actually meant. Well, that was actually a joke. I mean, he didn't actually mean that. He spent his entire time doing that, and then out of nowhere, right after he's done that, he's like, yeah, I actually believe all this stuff, and yeah, I don't care about being popular, and yeah, I actually believe it when I say it. It's so interesting how he's telling them exactly what he is, and they don't want to believe it. They've gotten to their talking point of that, actual reality is no longer anything that they want to play games with anymore. Now they just want to pretend the world is what they want. It's so strange. He tells them exactly what he is, and they don't want to believe it. So I really think the problem with today is the fact that people actually have to win elections. As you see, if we could just destroy everything, then I'm pretty sure the country would be better. We all know how much we hate actually trying to win elections, don't we, boys? I knew Nick was stupid, but I didn't think that he was this stupid. Oh, that's actually kind of good. How is he going to win? How is he going to win elections? How is he going to put through his political policy if he doesn't care about getting appeal from people? You have to have, your policies have to be popular enough. I don't think Nick is actually interested in winning elections, so I guess it's just accelerationist. Yeah, I think he's more about screeching into a microphone and making money from his fans. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't, especially a lot of these right wingers, high right wingers and people like them. Oh no, they don't care about people. Fuck. They don't care about people. They don't care about the people under them. They never have and they never will. He never cared about them. If anything bad happens to them, he couldn't give a shit less. You represent your believers. Yeah, I just think it's just like a club. It's just like a cute club. I guess that's all he really cares about, is having his cute club and making money off of them, which I mean is interesting, but man, I couldn't imagine being a right winger. Can you imagine following someone like Fuentes, who couldn't give a shit less if you live or died, who wants you working in the slave mines personally, and just thinking that he's gigapog and he's going to be there for you and you're fighting with him on the vanguard? Bro, he would step on your dead body the second it becomes politically expedient for him to imagine that you would be so cucked to follow someone like this. I couldn't possibly. Yeah, I think we got most of this. Very interesting. Thank you, Nick, for your amazing insight on women. Truly a great mind of our time. Truly.